Hello, Mark, and welcome to Southside Stories. It's great to see you.
Great to see you too. Thank you for having me.
Look, great. Yeah, no worries. So I'm looking forward to our conversation. It's going to be about technology and AI and some other good stuff, some other very topical stuff. But we all start these sessions, Mark, by just getting to know the person
Mm.
a little bit. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're based, and your job title and your company? Let's start with that, maybe.
Sure. So I'm based in London from a company called Firney. We do managed cloud services, engineering, kind of AI builds, data pipelines, that sort of thing. A lot of websites and modern kind of software as a service applications, but really focusing on the data aspect and how that can be used to really power those applications.
Great. And we're going to get into a bit of that in a second.
Mm.
Tell us a little bit. I'm always fascinated to know. Tell us a little bit about your career journey. Sort of what does that look like over the last 5 years? Did you make a decision at some point to start your own company? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so I mean, well, I've been an engineer for my whole career. So I started off with sort of web design, web development, moved client side from agency to then do build a software as a service application, a company called NetSend, and then moved back to agency and a company called Jellyfish, where I stayed for a good 7, 8 years, and then that company got sold, and I was in the fortunate position of having acquired some shares off the back of that. So it was enough to basically have a few months' wages and be able to start our own thing. So so me and my co-founder Ashley, who was also from Jellyfish, we then founded Firney. We had a lot of good experiences with Google Cloud and AI and data, and obviously we're engineers, so we got that benefit of the way we look at it. So we wanted to take that experience and really expand on it and see what we could do.
How did it feel for you making that plunge, going from what sounds like a kind of interesting and successful, working for other people? How does it feel for those first 6 months? How long ago was this, by the way?
So we've been going 3 years now.
3 years. Okay, so fairly recent, really. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
how did it?
was it
Yeah.
was scary
Yeah.
to suddenly go from having like a well-paid salaried job, you're very kind of sure that you're going to get paid every month, to then wondering where the business is going to come from. And we'd had a lot of experience kind of closing sales and doing all the engineering. We obviously were very happy with that side of thing. But in generating new business, that was an area we had to learn and pick up very quickly.
Was that the? Would you say that was the main new skill that you had to have going into your own business?
Yeah, I mean, you basically you're a very small team. You take on every role, so you are
Yeah.
you are literally you're the accountant, you're the legal person, or at least you get the legal assistance, and then you're doing all the documentation, all the project management, the engineering. You're managing your time. You're doing all of the little pieces of comms and everything, account management, that sort of thing that you might need to do. Going to see the clients and cleaning the office, but but yeah, it's you take on all the roles. But in
Yeah.
terms of the thing that was biggest for us to learn, I think, was that generating the new business
Yeah.
conversations. So once we're in those conversations, generally we do quite well, but it's actually getting to that conversation that was the area we hadn't had much experience in.
Yeah, and let's talk about that in a wee while, because your
Mm.
B2B sales, it's always bloody hard.
Yeah, it's a long sales
It's
cycle.
long, it's decision makers. We'll get into that in a little bit in a second. Out of interest, what was a sort of because sometimes you talk to people who started their own businesses,
Mm.
and their family think they're mad. They think, "Well, you're leaving the, you could get a salaried job." What was it like for you? Did you experience any of that, or?
Yeah, I was pretty lucky with the position that I was in, and we actually started off very strong in our first year, because we pretty much had a full book of business from day one, which was amazing, just through our
Yeah,
connections and contacts and people we'd
yeah,
known for
great.
years.
Uh-huh.
So that really helped kind of launch us, and we
Yeah.
had our former employer actually was one of our first customers. So yeah, we were in a very good position. They were very, very good to us. So Yeah.
So you felt confident going into a brave new world.
Yeah, probably more
Yeah,
confident than most of the things.
yeah, yeah. I think that sounds the
More
case. Yeah,
stable.
yeah. Great. So tell us a little bit then, Mark, more about your proposition. You covered some of the key things there, but
Mm.
tell us about maybe perhaps a way of framing it is talk about a couple of clients and a typical project you're trying or problem that you are trying to solve for people.
Yeah, so well, there's a lot of interest right now in AI and how AI can be
Mm.
used in business,
Hmm.
because we've seen the likes of ChatGPT and Gemini and such, and they're great kind of generic models, but it's how you take those models and actually apply them to a business challenge. So that's really what we're trying to focus on right now is building these tools. So we're kind of stepping a little bit away from doing the whole website builds. We will still do those if the right one comes along. But we are focusing more on kind of these integrations where it's really how do we power a really good search, or how do we um, make this conversational experience that takes the knowledge from the best salespeople and puts it into the agent so that it can have those conversations in real time with the customer at any time of day and give them great responses all the time consistently. So um, yeah, and then it's taking those bots, those chat agents, and really thinking about how can we integrate those with the existing services. So maybe it's e-commerce, you're pulling in all your e-commerce products, or it's a content-based site, you're pulling in all the content, recommending content, that sort of thing. Or if it's like a booking engine, maybe calling in a booking API. So it's pulling all these pieces together into a tool that's actually, it goes beyond just text conversations. It's actually how can I make this really useful for the customer and create a new compelling experience that actually improves the overall user experience for that individual customer.
How do you think the world of AI agents and chat assistants is in terms of the experience these days? Because I think people on the consumer side, have often mixed feelings, don't they? Because it's okay, I need to contact this company. I've got something. I say, there's an order, a delay with my order, or oh yes, something. And then
Mm.
it's, then you go to like, how do I contact the company? And then the first line of defense, if you like, from the company is, a chat, some kind of
Yeah.
chat bot. I said, okay, let's see how good this is. And, if you went back 3, 4 years ago, the experience was pretty sort of basic. Might be
Mm.
able to do a basic thing. How has the rapid sort of shifts in AI, what's the experience like for the end user now? And maybe what's the best example that you've seen?
I mean, it's gotten to the point now where it's difficult to tell sometimes if you're speaking to an AI. Now, I'm very much of the camp that if you're speaking to an AI, it should tell you that you are speaking to an AI.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Make it obvious, call it AI bot or something.
Yeah.
Um, and but the experience, like just going back 3, 4 years, it was the only chatbots that were any good were the ones that had like decision trees in them, and then they were
Yeah.
very limited because that's a very limited. You have to design all those processes and what happens if you get to the end of a tree and you need to go back to the start and that sort of thing. So you need to figure those processes out, and how you collect data and do all those other pieces. Now with the likes of Gemini and the other models that we're using, they they're able to have a conversation with the user to extract the data. So that piece is covered. And then it's just a case of building the tools, the integrations with the various platforms and making sure they have the data they need in order to then make the request to the APIs that get like place a booking or purchase a product or get some content or whatever it is. So yeah, it's becoming very modular and very easy to then plug extra features into these agents, and really make them very powerful.
And just to go a little deeper on this, and at some point we're going to rapidly get to the limit of my ability to ask sensible technical questions. But give me a flavor. I'm curious, if you're using Gemini or ChatGPT, I mean, basically, you're sort of using that as the core kind of engine, are you, if you like, and then you're building services that sit on top of that. Is that how it broadly
Yeah,
works?
so there's a few things. So you have your main model choices, and different models excel at different things. You
Hmm.
can get good kind of general all-rounder models, so things like Gemini and that, which are great at doing They can do everything from generating content to following directions to uh, being able to integrate with these various tools using some of their frameworks that come with them and that sort of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they're very useful, but there's also you can extend a large language model to make it sound more how you want it to sound and respond how you want it to respond. So it can take your tone of voice, it can do those kind of actions. And then there's the whole user experience as well. So the model it's a one small piece in a much larger thing. It's still a software engineering build. It's still all about the user experience and the quality of the data that's fed into that model in the first place. So it's very much the model is just a piece, but it's such a valuable piece that unlocks all these new possibilities. That yeah, it's really opening doors very fast.
Okay, I'm going to ask a couple more dumb questions. So for if it's a, I don't know, an e-commerce site, for example, do you have to train the LLM or point it at a particular data set, or do they interface in some other mechanic back into from the client's data into the language model, like an API or something like that?
So you can use the agents, the language models out of the box. There's a process called agentic workflows, essentially, which is where the agent itself decides when to request data, and that's just done using a typical API call, and then it gets the data back, and you tell it what that data is going to look like when it gets it and what it should do with it. So it's able to then understand that response and then pull that into the its kind of thinking. So yeah, it's you don't have to train the LLM. You don't have to have that advanced expertise. Really, you need some good software engineers who are able to integrate with APIs and write some good prompts. So prompt engineering is a new kind of
Yeah,
expertise that's coming about where
yeah.
individuals are just getting really good at building these prompts for the models. So it's essentially how do you ask it to get what you want out of the model?
Yeah, I was about to ask you how, to what degree prompts come into your world, because for somebody like me that uses Gemini in a fairly, basic way to do copy rewrites and things like that,
Mm.
my prompts are incredibly simple. How, just to give us a flavor of prompts, is it a lot of small prompts or is it a very sophisticated long prompt? What does that look like in your world?
Typically, a lot of small prompts, not too small.
Yeah.
It's not generally one
Uh-huh.
liners. Generally, they're about I don't know 40, 100 lines or something.
Oh, okay, right.
But you don't want to go too big because then the agents will actually lose the context. So there was an interesting comment on an article about this where they were essentially they remembered the bit at the beginning of the prompt and they remembered the bit at the end, but they forgot the bit in the middle, which
Okay,
is exactly
right.
the way humans work when they read
Yeah,
something. So
yeah.
it was interesting.
Um, how good are the platforms in terms of spinning up? I think let's stick with Google and Gemini for a minute. How good are they at spinning up the ability for a dev or an engineer to work on top of those platforms? How quickly are the tool set? Because Gemini's not really been out for that long, has it? It's a couple of years maybe at most.
Gemini
What?
itself, yeah, has only been around a short while, but Gemini is part of Google Cloud and the Google Cloud
Mm,
platform, and Vertex AI and the whole ML suite has been around now for 10 years plus. So at least many of those elements have. And a lot of it gains a lot of consistency in the way that you work with it. So if you've been working with a platform like that for some time, you get a lot of familiarity, and then it's just a new tool that you call. So the way you like authorize your credentials with it, so you're making sure it's all secure and everything, it's all the same. There is a new set of frameworks that have come out, so tools like LangChain, which uh, unlock some of the extra pieces, so like the agentic tools and the ability to kind of prepare your prompts and send them to the various models, and to integrate multiple models at once and that sort of thing. So those frameworks are a massive help because then you're not just working with standard APIs, but you're using these frameworks that kind of give you a leg up in the getting what you want done.
um, in terms of data security, how does that work? I think Microsoft's sort of, yeah, I think you have instances that are sort of closed that they're kind of firewalled. I think. Does Is that a common Do most of the platforms have that now?
It's really important,
Yeah.
and there is a lot to it. It's more than we could cover in this call.
Hmm.
But essentially, yeah, it is making sure that where customer data is going, or where people who are entering messages, where that data is going into a secure location, and also being filtered. So you want to make sure that you're not. They could accidentally inject like some personal details or something. You don't want to retain that and then accidentally be used for retraining at a later date. So you want to make sure you're cleaning that data out, if you are kind of doing reinforcement learning to kind of build on the previous examples. And then yeah, there's a whole piece around, well, what if they ask to do something that the bot's not meant to do? So you've got to make sure that it's very targeted in what that bot is doing, and tell essentially prompt and exclude what the bot should and shouldn't be doing, as a part of that process.
As part of the testing now, do other AI agents help you stress test, ask it a load of thousands of questions, and just stress test a bot, or is that sort of
So
human?
typically, so yeah, so say we're building an e-commerce agent or something, we will get the AI to generate questions for us. So here's 10 questions examples. Generate 1,000 more like this in different ways that people might ask similar questions, and that gives us a lot more data to then train with and actually test with, so that when we go live, we've covered more scenarios. So yeah, we are using AI to feed the AI testing.
Tell us a little bit about where might be heading, because most of us are familiar with current sort of text-based interactions, and then we've had, from a consumer perspective, the ability to do generate images and so on. And actually, a year and a half ago, I started to get excited by HeyGen. I think a lot of people just got, wow, I can clone myself. I can kind of be immortal forever. And then it's like, you kind of instantly sort of began to see where this sort of could go. Where do you think it will go in the next couple of years, in terms of not just text, but moving into a kind of fully interactive, barely distinguishable from a real human, in terms of somebody's actually in front of you, and you're having that live interactive kind of conversation with a very human type experience? What does that look like in terms of a
Yeah,
journey from now?
I still think it's a little bit up in the air, but it's about being more integrated and seamless. So it will just integrate itself into your life without you even noticing it. So your self-driving cars are a great example. You get in the car and it will help you stay in the lane, or it will fully drive for you. The glasses that you may have seen, the glasses they were wearing, where they were able to see and feed that through an LLM to see, like, look at objects on the desk, or
Yeah,
tell me things. What is this? That sort of thing.
yeah.
Actually integrating it with your day-to-day life. I mean, I was using Gemini the other day. I was just asking it about. I've been doing lots of like workouts and looking at vitamins and things, and I was just asking it questions, and it's giving me some great advice. Obviously, you do need to validate that these things they're still early days with these models. So, but yeah, the advice was great and sound. It all kind of checked out, and I've had it generate health plans for me and all sorts. So, like workout plans. So, yeah, it's really becoming a part of day-to-day life. And then, like, we've been using it in marketing for a long time. So generating content, generating ads, generating checking copy, checking emails, like so many different scenarios where it's getting more and more integrated. And it's the ones that are really winning. Again, it comes back to that user experience. It's how seamless is it for the user to actually use that technology. And because you can have a great result, but if it's really awkward and clunky to use,
Yeah,
you get put off of using it. So you want a
yeah,
great experience whilst using it as well.
yeah. Let's go back to your clients for a minute. Maybe an example would be helpful, but what's a great example of where somebody's done a really good deployment using you, and the client's been able to realize some meaningful business results, whether it's cost saving or speed or customer experience? What's a great example that you've seen there?
So it is very early days. We've got some that we're actually launching very soon. But yeah, these are kind of very new. I'd say a lot of it has been internal case studies so far because there has been some fear of using it. So we've done a lot of internal ones that won't be released to the public. But yeah, the latest ones we're doing now, this is that the new wave really, where the model is agentic and it's making its own decisions. What's happening is that it's reducing the time it takes to get to answers. So things like FAQs, for example, we don't have to build that decision tree to go and find those FAQs. We just give the bot the FAQs and it knows then how to respond to the question. What that means from a user's perspective is that when it comes to customer service, how do I access my account? How do I log in? How do I do all the kind of common questions? That kind of thing is really easy now to answer for a bot to answer. And it means you're not trawling through a website or documentation to try and find a solution to an answer. And then what this means is essentially it's reducing that friction for the users massively. Now, what you think about that in terms of e-commerce and in terms of bookings and that sort of thing, it's reducing the time it takes to find the products that you want, but it's also meaning you're able to better find products that better suit your needs as well. So yeah, so not any specific metrics, but they are. It's more about the experience and what it means as an overall. So yeah, I think the metrics will come once we've launched these next few. But yeah, it will.
Okay.
What we're seeing right now is it's just more seamless, frictionless experience to use. So
yeah, okay, got it. Mark, someone might be listening to this thinking that, oh yeah, we've got this really outdated decision tree driven chatbot. I need to have a much better experience, let's say on an e-commerce site. What would be the steps you take typically with somebody? So if somebody knocks on your door and says, I've got this problem to be solved, I think a chat, AI-driven chat agent might be an answer. What would be the kind of steps you would start to take with that client?
So we quite often just build a demo before we even meet them because we can do one so quickly. It might not be the best demo in the world, but it's a chat interface where we would take, say, help documents or something from their website, and we'd show them, look, within a few minutes we can, well, not a few minutes, but a few hours, we can consume the information from those docs and then have it in a chat interface where anyone can ask about it and get citations back to those docs so you can get fed straight to the relevant page where the information exists. So that then it's a wonderful sales tool to actually be able to see it in real time. This is immediately like, this is so much better than traditional decision trees that are out of date and have fixed 20 things that they answer. So yeah.
That sounds like, then I'm sure you're going to say it's not, but that would say it suggests that the build is actually pretty quick as
for that
well.
Portion, yeah. That's why we take that portion, because it's so quick to demonstrate the value. What comes in next is, okay, how do we integrate these other tools? So that's then more traditional engineering. Although that is AI enhanced, we speed up our engineering by using AI powered tools to help generate code and that sort of thing as well. So it's getting integrated everywhere. But it's how do we build on that? So yeah, we started off with an FAQ bot that answers some simple customer service questions, but how do we then take that to the next level by integrating their e-commerce, integrating their help desk, whatever it is, like adding on those little pieces that then make the experience all that more valuable to the customer or easier for the actual staff member who needs to process these items.
Great. Okay. Let's switch to Firney as a business. It must be a really exciting time to be doing this, isn't it? But tell us about your ambition for your business over the next 12, 24 months.
So yeah, I mean, we're looking to grow basically. So we had a strong start. Obviously we did start just after COVID, which was maybe not the best time to launch a business for many, but we survived. And we had a really good start, and we're growing now. Got multiple projects on running at the same time, which is great. So a long way from where we started, and we really want to focus on this data and AI aspect, I think. So looking at how do we really put this into scenarios where it's actually valuable. It's not just a gimmick. It's actually something that drives growth and drives customer adoption for our customers.
And what does growth sort of look like for you over the next, say, 24 months?
I'd like to say
Double-
30% year on year. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
steady growth. Very, very good. But yeah, there's a lot of interest right now. So having a lot of conversations, which is very exciting.
It must have felt like you started this at the right time, doesn't it? I mean, post COVID, yeah, that would have been a little dicey, but with all the, let's go back actually about B2B sales, perhaps. I mean, are you finding you've got to go out and hustle for the business, or are people coming to you, or what
Yeah,
does that look
so
like?
it was an interesting journey. So the first year, we had all these existing connections, people we'd worked with over the last couple of decades. So we had loads of business in the first year. Literally, we were packed. Yeah, not a problem. We were like, what's all the fuss about? This is easy. Second year, that dried up. So suddenly it was a case of, right, okay, we actually need to now go out and start drumming up our own business. So we'd had a lot of experience previously with partners, specifically Google. So we've been working with Google now for 10 years or so. But they will introduce us, and that really helps us with kind of getting into those conversations, because they've already had the experiences of working with us. They can vouch for us, get us in front of the customer. We skip those initial kind of marketing campaigns and doing everything else you need to get that initial conversation, and just essentially get in the room with the customer. And once we're in and we're talking to them, it's easy, because that's the bit we're comfortable with. So we can explain the benefits of integrating various techs and come up with solutions. That's what we've been doing our whole careers. So, but yeah, it's the partnerships for us was the big jumping point. We did run a lot of campaigns to get a little bit of business off of that, but ultimately, that's still kind of ticking over. It's something that we need to look at long term. But the partnerships for us is the initial way that we can get into those conversations quickly.
Yes. I think most of the major platforms like Microsoft and Google, they sort of have approved supplier networks and marketplaces, don't they? Is that where people would connect with you? Yeah.
It's precisely that. So you go and connect with them, you become a partner, you share some case studies, they introduce you to a few clients, you get some good success, they introduce you to a few more clients, they get bigger and bigger. It's just it's great way to grow the business.
What did, as a separate channel to that, what did campaigns look like for you? Is that sort of LinkedIn stuff, or is that calling people? What does that look like?
It was, there was a lot of LinkedIn, essentially running LinkedIn ad campaigns. We did a lot of video content as well. So we set up a YouTube channel, set up a whole load of videos, just giving people an introduction to AI and a lot of the cloud concepts and that sort of thing. And then we ran a lot of video events, conferences on LinkedIn. So we had some great attendance from those, which started a few conversations as well.
Tell us about, as you look now, 30% growth target year on year. What are some of the challenges when you think you've maybe had a lean second year and then things are sort of coming good again, and then you're looking at the next set of growth? What do you think are going to be your next challenges as you sort of level up?
There's an interesting. So you obviously you need to win the business before you can expand the team or expand the tech.
Yeah,
we do want to focus more on the tech, actually growing the tech side. So in our previous roles, we'd very much had the experience of growing a team. But the problem with growing a team is you can only service as much business as you have as many team members, and you have to pay for those team members once you get them on the team, and you have to upskill them, etc. Yeah. So it's quite a risk and a large expense. So the more you can lean towards the tech side, it just gives you a little bit of an edge. You still will need to grow the team, but you don't need to grow it as much if you can lean more on the tech and growing the tech, and actually building a tech that is that drives repeatable sales. So the SaaS business kind of monetary model is like subscription style model. That is essentially where we'd like to be. We're still doing a lot of service-based business, but we've got a few now through kind of support contracts and these agentic models and the search pieces that we're doing. So,
Because were you previously doing sort of project by project sort of costing and cost budget then deliver?
yeah, pretty much. That's
Yeah,
kind of the agency approach. It's
yeah,
yeah, customer comes to you with a challenge, you solve it, you fix it, you deploy it. What you want to do is try and find a group of customers that all have the same challenge, which is where we are now. We're actually getting lots of consistency with this these tools that we're building. So, and our background in data and AI and everything we've got and our connections with Google, it's all just coming together nicely.
so that means actually you can scale. I guess it's sort of you can kind of scale or replicate or duplicate, not maybe duplicate, but sort of replicate some of the core delivery pieces because you've learned and you've done that for one solution, and then you can port that over to another client. I guess is
Yeah,
there some
it's
efficiency there, right? Or is
yeah,
that
yeah, it's the same as any engineering project. You you build things, you use repeatable standards, repeatable
yeah?
frameworks, repeatable widgets, pieces of code, anything that kind of gives you the edge to kind of move faster. The benefit of building a SaaS is once you've built it, you then sell it to many people rather than just one. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And then you can,
so
are you looking at subscription models and things like that based on data queries, support? Are those things that are potentially
yeah,
longer, recurring, basically recurring revenue?
yeah. I mean, we got into it for the support model. So it was mainly cloud support originally, but we just from our experience and we moved into engineering and AI. But that is now, I think it's more of a kind of a model where it is, yeah, it's us managing, feeding new data, managing the model, managing the uptime, making sure we're hitting those uptime metrics, and yeah, providing that ongoing assistance and support with whatever it might be, depending on the scenario.
Great. Okay. Well, that's really exciting. Some great, ambitious growth targets there, Mark. Just to wrap up, tell us a little bit about somebody in your life that's inspired you. You've got very successful track records, some great success previously to this, and now with Firney. Tell us about a leader, perhaps that has had the biggest positive impact on you, and it could be an early mentor, a leader, or a famous person. But who would that be?
Yeah, there's been quite a few people. I think
Uh-huh.
I generally tend to consume information rather than focus on an individual's kind of trajectory. But actually, when I was working at Jellyfish, there's a wonderful CEO, Rob Pierre, who's now moved on. But he essentially built that business. And I joined Jellyfish when it was 110, 130 people, something like that, through to the time it was about 2,500. And I started as like a middleweight engineer and kind of went up to VP, but over the years. And yeah, it was just watching the growth, watching kind of the success and the customer successes and being a part of it and really, yeah, helping fuel that growth and being part of that team. And there's actually the community that was built around that business was amazing. So yeah, that was quite an inspiration.
What was he great at? What are some of the really awesome skills that he had in? I mean, that's a great story, isn't it? Going from building a company up to multiple thousands of employees. What were some of his great skills that he had?
Definitely public speaking was a strength.
Right. Uh-huh.
So actually, yeah,
Uh-huh.
standing up and presenting in front of people. And I think seeing like the silver linings. So if something, the industry changes, market shifts, how can we turn this to a benefit? Actually having that kind of, okay, this looks like a disaster at the offset, but actually how can we swing this to our advantage? He had that ability to just kind of think around and yeah, present the business to the customers in a way that was compelling, even in light of market changes.
So yeah, very agile. Probably had a strategy and a goal and a plan, but had the ability to be agile and flex
Mm.
as the market dynamics changed.
Yeah.
Great, good stuff. It's great. Okay, Mark, thank you very much for your time. Wishing you a lot of success in the future, And thanks for talking to us.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.